It is Foundation Fest Day 4? Day 4! And we are going to check out another new foundation on the market. This is another drugstore test. It is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus. Hey everybody, Shelly here, and today I've got another Foundation Fest review for you. We are going to check out the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation, brand new at the drugstore. This retails for $5.99 in the US of A, $6 for 1 fluid ounce. You cannot beat that. If this turns out to be an awesome foundation, then holy cow, price point is just right. This foundation, the very first thing that impressed me, I've got their Wet n Wild website up here. This comes in 20 shades. Now, I did not have all of the shades available at my local Rite Aid where I found this. They seem to be beating out CVS lately in getting the new releases, but in my case, the downside is that Rite Aid Rewards, I don't think they compare very well to CVS, but that is neither here nor there. I picked this up at Rite Aid last night, and they don't have all the shades in the drugstore, but they are all available on Wet n Wild's website, and 20 shades is a very nice shade range for a drugstore foundation, and it does go to very ends of the spectrum. So I think if you are dark-skinned or very light-skinned, you are going to have an easy enough time finding a shade here. Now, the shades at the lower end of the spectrum, which of course is what I'm concerned about, being pale as Casper the Friendly Ghost, there is a porcelain shade, which was a very fair but warm-toned shade. And then they had the shell ivory and soft ivory and rose ivory, which were cool, neutral, and warm. So I picked up 2 of these. I picked up the shell ivory and I picked up rose ivory. The rose ivory is the cool tone shade, the lightest cool tone shade, but it is not considered fair, it's considered light. So I was a little nervous it might be a little too dark for me, so I did get the fair shade shell ivory, which is neutral. I can usually get away with wearing a neutral undertone foundation. My skin is neutral with cool undertones, so usually I can get away with either cool or neutral. I prefer the look of cool on me most of the time. Now, this foundation, in terms of what they claim, I've got their website up here. Your skin only better. Our new high-performing skin perfecting foundation underwent major road testing under 7 different photo lighting conditions to deliver flawless camera-ready makeup every time. It's got a matte light diffusing complex to give your skin no filter perfection. They've got 7 different lighting conditions that they tested with top smartphone models, so you're not supposed to get any flashback. That is the primary thing that they are talking about in their claims. So when you do flash photography, you should not get flashback with this foundation. Now, it doesn't really say much about the coverage to expect. It mentioned the word matte once. We will see how this goes. I'm going to give you guys a application demo and a wear test. I'll give you a natural light check-in, and we'll check in at the end of the evening and see how it has worn throughout the day. So if you want to see how this foundation stands up on this pale, dry, 40-something face, hang in there, keep on watching. Let's do some swatching. So the first 2 shades here are the Wet n Wild, the 2 new ones that I picked up. The first one is the shell ivory, which is described as fair neutral, and the second one is the Wet n Wild in rose ivory, which is described as light cool. I think that's the one I'm going to go with because it has a little bit more of a pink undertone, and that's what I tend to like. This third one's for color reference. This is the Rimmel Lasting Finish in shade 091. It's a pretty good shade match for me. This, I don't have too many matte foundations in my collection, so here's what we've got. This is the Matte and Poreless from Maybelline Fit Me, and it's in shade 112 Natural Ivory. This is a little yellow on me. And then the last one is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte, and that is in their lightest shade 101 Classic Ivory. It is time. So I picked up this foundation in 2 different shades. I've got Rose Ivory and Shell Ivory. So I wasn't sure if I would want neutral or pink because they both looked pretty good in the store lighting up against my arm. Of course, you can't swatch them in the drugstore unless you're a heathen. I'm not a heathen. So let's take a look at these two. So I've got Light Cool. Now first, I want to say mad props. I don't know if you're going to be able to read this, but can you see at the very bottom where it actually describes the shade? Rose Ivory, light, cool. And on the Shell Ivory, fair, neutral. Thank you, Wet n Wild. Love it, love it. Because sometimes it's hard to tell through the bottle, and some packaging, as we've seen lately, doesn't even let you see the product through the container. So, yeah. So I'm just going to swatch both of these on my cheek here, and we'll see where we're at. So I have already cleansed, moisturized. I have primed with my Urban Decay Urban Defense SPF 30 primer. This little applicator is kind of bizarre. It's like a paddle, but okay. So I'm just going to use this to go like, whoop. This is the Rose Ivory, and this is the Shell Ivory. You can definitely tell Rose Ivory is a little bit more pink, and let's see where we end up here. You always want to take it down your neck so you can kind of see. Yes, so this was Shell Ivory, right? The Shell Ivory neutral does look the tiniest bit off. It's not off. I could totally wear this, but the Rose Ivory disappeared. So I'm gonna go Rose Ivory. My instinct is always to go pink, but I was a little nervous because the Rose Ivory is light and not fair, so it's a little bit darker, at least by their descriptions, and the Shell Ivory is fair, neutral. I'm gonna go Rose Ivory. It's a little darker, but it is a better match for my undertone, which is cool, slightly cool. I'm not super far on the cool side, but breakfast when you decide to film instead of eat breakfast. So I'm going to use the Kat Von D Lock-It Edge foundation brush on one side of my face and my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge on the other side of my face. This was a brand new sponge. Can you see? Cat's got it. Nothing is safe around here, and this is why we cannot have nice things. Okay, now, let's get this party started. This paddle is just weird. I wish it had a pump. I guess this is better than just not having anything, but this paddle is weird. So I'm just gonna like, I don't know, smooch it on my face? I don't know. This paddle is weird. It is better than having to stick my hands in here, but I don't like sticking this on my face and into the bottle. I guess I could like try to scoop it and smear it, but it's not really a spoon. It's like a flat, I don't know. Whatever. This foundation is so inexpensive that if I really felt like I was getting germs all over it, I guess I could just go buy another one. And that would be the solution there. Brush. Let's do this side. Why do I suddenly not know how to hold my brush? Really, why am I having issues this morning? Having issues, it is Wednesday. Happy hump day. The finish looks nice. I can see a little bit of brush strokes going on with the brush side. Let me try the sponge side. It's probably not going to be Wednesday when you guys see this, but it's Wednesday right now for me. I like the sponge better, so I am going to try and build this up a little bit with one more coat with the sponge. I would say with one layer we are at a solid light coverage. It is not sheer, but I can still see all of my freckles coming through, sunspots, evilness. Meh. So let's go with one more little round. Two coats seem to build up just fine. It is looking just a teeny tiny bit heavy, so I'm not going to go any further. I think we got solid medium coverage. The couple of my worst sunspots are showing through. The less bad of them, you can see them a teeny tiny bit, but you really have to be looking for them and know that they're there. I think this shade is a nice match. Of course, the lighting is blowing my face out, but it is not so far settling into lines. It is not giving me polka dot nose. It's not settling into my pores. It looks a little, it's not helping around my mouth in eliminating the texture there, but it looks fine on my cheeks. My pores are not standing out. It's a little dry around my nose, a little bit caking around the dry patchy spots I've got around my nose, but not so bad starting out. So let me zoom you guys in. We'll take a look. In terms of the finish, I think we're definitely in matte finish zone. I don't feel like this is luminous really at all. The description doesn't really say what kind of finish or coverage to expect, only to expect no flashback in flash photography. So let's take a picture. I would say nothing is flashing back. Everything looks even. I look like a freak, but other than that, nothing is flashing back, so it's holding up to that claim. Let's get the rest of my face on, and I'll be right back. Here we go. Face is on. I am wearing 4 bronzer. I wish this was still available. I should have bought a dozen of them. It's the only one I like, the L'Oreal GlamBronze. It was a summer limited edition. Blush is Tarte Amazonian Clay in Glisten. I've got the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette in Plum on my eyes. I'm sure you've seen it before. Cannot get it to open. I decided to use the Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Mascara. I really like this brow mascara because it's got a nice brush. It's easy to use, nice small brush. And it's got hold that I would say is comparable to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Gel. I usually use the clear brow gel, but I use this when I don't have time to fill in my brows and I just want a little bit of color, a little bit of hold, and Polly's knocking stuff off my vanity. And so I did not fill in my brows. They're not perfect, of course, but it does give them a little bit more depth than they have on their own. So I use that when I'm kind of going quick. And yeah, so everything seems to have blended pretty well. It did seem a little harder to blend things. I felt like there was just a little bit more drag on my skin than there normally is. The foundation looks decent. Decent to good. I would say it looks dry. So it is matte, a matte finish. I did set it with the Physicians Formula Youthful Wear Illuminating Powder because it did look so dry and kind of flat that I wanted to try and bring a little bit of life back into it, which is also why I picked the Tarte blush in Glisten, because it does have a little bit of highlight built into it, so I just was trying to bring a little bit of dimension back. It looks really dry around my smile lines and around my nose, and it's definitely helping the texture of my pores. It's not settling into pores and it's not making my pores look large, but it is not helping the texture of my skin. My cheeks look pretty textured, which is why I skipped highlight altogether, because I think it would just look too textured. And it's accentuating like my smile lines, the 3 of the deeper lines on my forehead. I can see my crow's feet, and usually I can't see them until the end of the day because moisturizer is usually all I need to kind of fade them back into the background. So it is not helping in terms of texture and lines. It's not settling into my lines, because that would be a yee, but I feel like my skin texture does not look any younger than it is. So I think if you have more mature skin than I do, this might be accentuating too many things that you don't want to accentuate. But I like the shade. I think it's a good shade match so far. We'll see if it has any oxidizing going on. The check-in time today is 10:45 a.m. So that is where we are starting. I will check back in a few hours with a natural light check-in, and then we'll see how this goes. Hit the jackpot at my local Rite Aid. I picked up a bunch of the new Physicians Formula stuff. Be careful when you're getting it. Not careful, but look, because a lot of the items have a $2 off coupon that you can get immediately at checkout, and then the rest have a $9 rebate that you can mail in. So do that, save some money. Right now, if you're going to Rite Aid, they've got a buy one, get one half off sale going on. So really, the reason we're here is this foundation, which is looking okay. It looks a little bit heavy at this point, but it doesn't feel too heavy. So I think it is a little bit, tiny bit too dark for me. I will have to try the lighter neutral shade and see if I can pull it off, but so far so good. Sorry for all the traffic noise. I will check back with you guys in a few hours. Hey party people, we are back. It is 9:05 in the PM, so we are approaching the 10.5-ish hour mark. We're getting there. We are over the 10-hour mark. Check-in time was 10:45 this morning, and my initial feelings at the 10+ hour mark for a $6 foundation, I'm okay with this. It's got some issues. It's not going to be my new holy grail, but let's talk about what's going on here. So I would say, first off, for the first 7 to 8 hours, this looked really good. It was around the 8-hour mark where I started to notice that it was breaking down and sort of separating around the motion areas like my mouth and my smile lines and things like that. That was also about the same time I noticed it to really start settling into lines. Up to that point, it really looked pretty good. Now, at this point, it is wearing off of my nose pretty significantly, and I did not do any blowing of my nose today or anything like that. It is worn off pretty well around my nostrils, so there's redness coming through there. It's definitely settled into my smile lines, a little bit into my forehead. It's settled into my chin lines really significantly. It's breaking down on my chin. My cheeks still look good. My pores are starting to become visible around my mouth. What is this little red spot? So ignore what I just scratched away, because apparently I have a new red spot on my face. But overall, I would say this looked good for a long time. Now, most of the day it felt like a nice dry, it dried down completely. I didn't have any issues like the foundation yesterday, but it felt like a nice velvet finish. Now, as we get closer to the end of the day, for something that is supposed to be a matte finish, I feel like I'm starting to feel shiny and look a little bit more dewy. Now, to me, it just looks dewy because I have pretty dry skin, but I feel kind of greasy, which is bizarre because I really don't produce a ton of oil. I don't get greasy. I don't think I look greasy, but I feel greasy. My forehead feels like it's got a slippy, greasy stuff on it. Crow's feet, it is settling a little bit into there. Now, I will say that for a matte finish, I don't think this is too drying. So if you have dry skin, I don't think this is going to be too much of a problem. My forehead is starting to feel a little itchy, like the kind of itchy I get when my skin is getting dry. And my under eye does look a little dry. My crow's feet area looks a little bit dry, but it doesn't feel super dry. So it's probably drying in the sense that it's as drying as having anything on your face would be drying by the end of the day, but it's not extremely drying. So I think you can wear this if you like a matte finish with dry skin and get away with it for a day. Now that we're approaching 11 hours, I am getting a little itchy, just a teeny tiny bit. So not the terribly best thing for dry skin, but I think you can get away with it if you really wanted to. But in terms of how it's wearing off and how it is settling into lines, those kinds of things, it probably is hit or miss on mature skin. It depends how much a little bit of settling bothers you, because this is not extreme at all. In fact, my forehead, you really have to look to notice it. It didn't settle too badly at all in my forehead. I can think right now, like, Too Faced Born This Way settles into my forehead far worse than this does. Around my mouth, though, my smile lines are very exaggerated. They look a little bit dry, and it has settled into them. So if that really bothers you and you have more texture than I do, you might have issues with that. But you might also be able to get away with it if you don't have too much going on. So, and again, for a $6 foundation, I'm pretty, it's a $6 foundation. I don't want to say I can't expect the stars and the moon from a $6 foundation, because, I mean, I should expect the stars and the moon from anyone that puts out a product. You should put out the very best, but realistically, at a $6 price point, you're not getting the very best ingredients in the world and things like that. But for $6, I think this is really good. If I had to give this a grade, I would say I am going to go... It depends if I take the price point into consideration. I would say it's a B- on performance, but at this price point, it might just get a B. So that's kind of how it goes. Let me zoom you guys in and you can see what I've been talking about here and see what you think. See the separation. Did I just flare my nostrils at you? Sorry. So there you have it. Final verdict, I'm going to call this B-. We're going to keep the price point out of serious consideration because I've been dealing with drugstore brands all week so far. So let's call it a solid B-. For a drugstore foundation, I think this wears really well, and we are approaching the 11-hour mark, so I do think this wore great for an 8-hour workday, and for that reason, we're keeping it in the B range. We're going to call it a B-. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the Wet n Wild, the new Photo Focus Foundation. If you found this helpful, please give me a thumbs up. That and your subscription click is going to help my channel grow, and I appreciate every single one of you guys tuning in and watching this video and liking and subscribing if that is appropriate. I appreciate your time. Have a good day or night wherever you are, and take care of each other. Bye-bye.